And now we're going to talk about vendor monitoring. This is a really unique service where you can keep an eye on the companies that you do business with. You do that by building your unique watch list of companies that you want to watch. And then we track the 4 different kinds of complaints: litigation, CFPB complaints, BBB complaints, and state attorney general complaints. So you can see that we have a field here, a form field, where you can put in the name of a company that you're interested in searching. Generally speaking, less is more on this search, so you can boil down a name like Accelerated Financial Solutions LLC just to Accelerated Financial and get a good clean result. You'll also see that we have some different search types. If you're not happy with the results that you're getting from a search on a specific term, then you can use one of these to perform a slightly different kind of search that might give you a cleaner result. So we add a search term by pressing that button, and you can see it shows up in your list immediately, and depending on the number of complaints, it generally just takes a few seconds to a few minutes for this to fill in. You can see it just filled in. And you can see the raw numbers of each of these types of complaint. Now, if you expand out on that, you'll see from the last 6 months some raw numbers, and they'll show you this would be for litigation, CFPB, BBB, and then you can expand out further to get the 20 or so state attorney general offices that we get data from currently. And if you go to advanced settings, you'll see under thresholds here where you can actually define a color and a number, a threshold that you can use to define when a color is shown in one of these boxes. So you can see, excuse me, for instance, that when a complaint increases by 20% or more over the previous month, it'll turn that box red. When a complaint volume decreases by 10% or more, it'll turn that box blue. Obviously, this is not a good example to illustrate that, but let's use a big one here. So you can see that when the volumes of complaints fluctuate, this is an easy way to highlight when that fluctuation is happening. So showing you the raw numbers is the first part of this. And then actually showing you the reports would be the second part. And that you can see on this reports page for the term that we just ran, and you can see I ran it a couple of times earlier here. We can get rid of duplicates easily just by doing that. You can see each of the different types of reports that this search generated. And if you look at the first one here, vendor litigation, that you'll notice if you use our batching process, it looks very similar to that. You've got the basically the who, what, when, where, why of the different kinds of lawsuits that are being tracked for this company. CFPB, if you've looked at CFPB reports in the past, you can see again, this should look pretty familiar, the different fields that the CFPB does make available for these kinds of report. BBB, we do show you both negative reviews and complaints filed, including, you can see the consumer narrative for all of those different kinds of complaints. And then state attorney general, we break it down into each different state, and you can see some information about each of those complaints, including a date of the complaint and any unique information we can provide about it. Those are generally going to be more vague. If you don't want to keep a term to be searched on an ongoing basis, and by the way, if you go back to this reports field here, you can define when you want to get these reports from us. It can either be every day or some combination of days. But if you don't want to monitor a company, you just want to do a quick one-time search, you can click that button and it will bring you here, and it will let you define where you want to look for a company, maybe those two types of searches, maybe just for all of 2016. So you can do something like that. And then do your search, and you'll see the complaints from those two different agencies that were found for that company. And that is the vendor monitor process.